All right. We want to welcome everyone today for the virtual introduction press conference for Thunder's new head coach, Mark Daigneault. We have Sam Presti, our Executive Vice President, General Manager, and Thunder head coach, Mark Daigneault, here today. We will start with comments from Sam, followed by comments from Coach Daigneault. Following that, we will be available for questions. If you could please, this is Matt Tummelson, if you could please either text me or raise your hand in the Zoom function, we will try to get to as many people as we can in the time allotted today. All right. And with that, I would pass it on to Sam.
Thanks, Matty. So today is obviously an extremely exciting day for us. Before we get into today's announcement, I do want to acknowledge that it's Veterans Day and take stock of the fact that there's many people that have sacrificed in our country to give us the privileges that we have today within our country, and very grateful for that. So I think that's important for us as an organization to recognize. With respect to the next head coach of the Thunder, it gives me tremendous pleasure and excitement to introduce Mark Daigneault. As we've talked about, and as we reposition our franchise and our organization in an ever-changing, evolving NBA, we couldn't be more thrilled about the traits that Mark brings to the table for us. A little bit about him and the reason why we feel like he is the right person at the right time. Mark joined us when he was 29, coming from a position in Florida where he was assisting the coaching staff and assumed the head coaching position for the Blue. He had I felt like the rare traits of someone that had high potential. He's a curious learner, a diligent worker, a creative thinker, and has the utmost integrity and selflessness, which I think is critical to be in a leadership position as an NBA head coach. He has had a significant impact in our organization over the last several years and has the rare combination of youth and experience. He's coached over 250 games as a head coach. He's done that with a lot of different adverse conditions in the G League. He's done it with deft skill, and he's built tremendous relationships, not just with our players, at the G League level, but also at the NBA level, as well as all the different people that he pulls into his process as a head coach within the building, both at the Blue and within the Thunder. One of the greatest skills that I think he possesses is his relatability to the modern NBA player, but also in the modern NBA organization. And as we reposition our franchise for future sustainable success, we want to remain cutting edge, forward thinking, asking tough questions of ourselves and pushing ourselves forward. And I can't think of someone better than Mark to be the person that's leading that charge from the coaching position and empowering all the different people that he works with, which I think is one of the greatest strengths that he has. As a basketball coach, he's a great teacher. As I said earlier, he's been intricately involved with our draft processes. Our player development systems have come significantly further and further each year under his purview. He has had a hand in so many different things that happen behind the scenes, including staff development of a lot of different coaches that he's had with the Blue that have gone on either to come to the Thunder or have moved on to different positions. So I think that's a tremendous sign of his leadership and his selfless leadership. So we couldn't be more excited about his acumen, his toughness, and his consistency as a coach on a day-to-day basis, but also the person that he is. So we couldn't be more thrilled to I guess, re-welcome him in a different role, but to have him a part of the Thunder going forward. And we couldn't be more excited to watch his growth and his contributions flower from here. I'll turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so excited and so grateful. I'm grateful for the last 6 years in this organization and in this community. Grateful for the fact that the Thunder have raised me as a professional basketball coach and as a head coach. And I can't wait to continue to grow here with these great people in this great organization. I want to thank Mr. Bennett for this opportunity and also for the care that he takes in this community and in this organization with the people in this organization. I want to thank Sam for always seeing me for what I can be rather than what I am. That was a word he gave me back when he hired me in 2014, and he has delivered on that with his support and guidance time and time again. When Sam called me and offered me the job the other day, I was just so overwhelmed thinking about all the people that have had their fingerprints on my life and on my career. And I just want to take the time to thank them very quickly right now. I want to thank my wife, Ashley, who is also a coach, but is the love of my life. And I can't wait to continue our life together, Ash, here in OKC. I want to thank my parents, my sister, all my friends and family for their unconditional support. I want to thank all the coaches that have had an unbelievable impact on my career, who have opened career doors for me. I especially want to point out my high school coach, Steve Dubzinski, Coach Calhoun, and Coach Blaney at UConn, Ralph Willard, and Billy Donovan, who brought me to Florida, but has been a tremendous friend and mentor over the better part of the last decade. The thing Billy did for me here with the Thunder is he opened the door to the Thunder, to our blue staff, and gave us unprecedented access to the Thunder team. And certainly those experiences put me in this position to be able to take this position on. I also want to thank the Thunder community, the Thunder organization, the people I work with every day who have helped me grow. And the coolest thing about this is I've been able to grow with them. And there's a lot of people in this organization that don't have a press conference today that are on a very similar trajectory to me. And to be able to grow up here with those people is inspiring. And it makes me really, really love coming to work every day. I've never had a bad day with the Thunder. The last thing I want to do is thank all the players that I've coached over the course of my career. But I especially want to shout out to the Blue guys who I coached here in this organization. Their commitment and their grind is just inspiring to me. And today is a day that I want to give them the shirt off my back. Lastly, I want to thank the Thunder players. It was a pleasure working with this team last season. It's an inspiring group of guys that I admire for their competitiveness and who they are as people. And I'm just so excited to get back to work with them here in a couple weeks. It's not going to be easy and nothing worthwhile is, but I'm just so excited and grateful to be able to plug back into this organization and be around these great people, this great organization, and these great players here coming up in a couple weeks.
Thank you, guys. First question we're going to have is going to come from Eric Horn with The Athletic. Eric, you can unmute your line and go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
I got you, Eric. How are you?
Good, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
With the season being condensed, or the off season to the season being condensed, the draft and free agency coming very quickly. What are the priorities for you right now? What are some of the things that you're going to have to tackle first going into your first season?
I mean, I reached out to all the players this morning, Eric, and was able to talk to some of them already. Certainly staffing is a high priority coming into this. And then just continuing the conversation. I mean, the good thing for me, Eric, is that the organization's been humming all this time, and all the people that have an impact on the organization have been working all the way through, and we're ready for whatever comes our way always. And December 1st is no exception to that. And I also want to point out the fact that going into the bubble experience, the players did a great job of keeping themselves ready. So I have 100% confidence that when they come back in the doors, they're going to be hungry and they're going to be ready and in shape and ready to roll. So I'm obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I'm pretty confident because of all the people we have here.
Thank you, Mark. Next question will come from Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Jenny. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Congratulations again. Wanted to ask you a little bit about your background in developing players. I mean, obviously, that's such a huge part of the G League as an assistant with the Thunder. But I know that was a big part of what you did all the way through college, your college coaching days. Can you just walk us through a little bit of what that looks like for you and how you've worked? I know everybody's different and what you're developing is different, but kind of walk us through that because that's been such a hallmark of your career.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it, but every player is different and every player is a person first. And I always have just relied on the instincts of connecting with the person first and really having an appreciation for the person. And, the one thing I've learned since coming here to this organization and being in professional basketball is that all of these players have a reason to admire them and not just respect them. That's a baseline for any player. But if a player's made it this far, this is what the Blue taught me. If a player's made it this far, there's a reason to admire them. And I think expressing that admiration and accepting them for who they are, and then trying to help them be the best they can be, chase down the vision that they have for who they are as a player, but also plug that into the larger structure of a team in an environment that elevates everybody. So, that's the big picture view. But it starts with every person. Every person's different, and connecting to that and tapping into that.
I know you've said before, Mark, that you grew up in a kid of an educator. I know your mom has taught. I don't know if your dad does or not, but is that, you mentioned fingerprints on you before. Are those, I have to hear you talk about basically teaching and growing players that way. I have to think those fingerprints are fairly large. How would you sort of, weigh the importance of being a kid that grew up around the teaching profession?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's an educator, and so I grew up around her. She's a special educator. My sister's in education. My father is not in education, but is a tremendous grinding worker. I've gotten a lot of my commitment level from him. My wife, Ashley, is a coach now at OU with their gymnastics team. And so I was put in positions to teach and coach at a very young age. I was an education major in college. And so I feel very at home in the classroom, and I see the court as an extension of that. It's really a teaching job, and basketball is just the vessel through which you're teaching.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jenny. Next up, we've got a question from Cliff Brunt with the Associated Press.
Yeah, Coach, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Cliff.
Yeah, just wanted to know what specifically, maybe one or two things, do you carry with you specifically from your interaction with Billy Donovan over the years that you can take into this job?
It's hard to just isolate two. The first thing I learned about him is he's a great coach. And then the next thing I learned about him is he's an even better person. And that's probably what I took away from him, is just how he treated people and the type of man that he is. But I would also say this, he exposed me to a great deal of great assistant coaches and staff members, many of which I've worked with here. And so that's the thing that is just so humbling and so inspiring, is I just have so many people like him in my life that have had that type of impact on me. And the thing that's so great about being promoted here is that a lot of them exist in this organization. I got a phone call today from a coworker, Daigneault, and he was congratulating me. And I said, the best thing about this is we get to go to work together tomorrow. And so that's what's really cool about this specific scenario.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Next up, we're going to go with a question from Joe Musato with the Oklahoman.
Hey, Sam, you mentioned Mark being the right coach for the right time. I was just wondering, how did you balance the thought of, promoting from within versus hiring an outside candidate? And what are some of the reasons that you chose to promote Mark from within?
Oh, well, I mean, we talked to a lot of different people, and there's an unbelievable amount of coaching talent, young coaching talent in the NBA and also all over the world. But I think the thing with Mark, I don't think it's necessarily the fact that he has, these experience with us alone, but I think Jenny mentioned it in her question. Like, I think he has a real modern approach to today's NBA. I think he's an extraordinarily quick learner. He's shown that since he took over the Blue at 29. I do think he's very curious about how people do learn and how to present the information that can help elevate the group. He's collaborative in nature in terms of he references relationship with Donnie, and he sees the different people in the organization like Donnie or Matt Tumbleson, Andrew Paul, these different people that have a hand in making the trains run every day. I think he does an excellent job of empowering those people and making them feel a part of the process, which is a sign, in my opinion, of true leadership. And I think that elevates the building. So in terms of as we continue to reposition the organization for what I said earlier, which is an evolving and really a kind of a built to be disrupted MBA industry, quick learners, people that have strong values, people that connect different disciplines within the program, and then obviously relatability with your players and the modern NBA player. I think Mark does a great job of balancing accountability, but also meeting people where they are, to use his words, and understanding what people's motivations are. And that comes down to like the ability to learn quickly and apply quickly and take some chances. And I think that's one of the things he did well with the Blue as well. And we can't underestimate the level of experience that he's gained at an early age, and those experiences I think will really compound over time as he gets into this role, but also has pre-existing relationships that will help him help people support him. But I think he will also elevate the group and the building in ways that I think are going to be necessary as all NBA franchises, enter into a new world.
And if I could ask one quick follow-up to that, I know this is only relevant to the short term, but with everything being so condensed, how helpful is it to have someone who's been with the organization so long?
Well, I think it's helpful, but I don't think that it's it's an elixir in any way. I think that, if anybody that knows us knows that we're not going to be driven by, a short-term restraint. We're not going to let that drive our decisions in any way, shape, or form. We're going to do what we think is the best thing for the franchise long term, and deal with whatever disruption that may exist in the short term in order to get the long-term benefits we want. So to be honest with you, I think having some of these constraints early on and having a little bit of unpredictability, I think that's good for us. I think we do well in those environments. Again, I think for Mark in particular, I think he'll assess those things and figure out how to use them as positives and strengths for us as he continues to chart his own path as an NBA head coach, and as an organization we'll do the same thing. So I don't think it's a negative. I don't think it's a positive. I think it's just kind of like, if you have the right people, you solve the problems effectively. I think we'll do that.
Thanks.
Next up, we're going to go with Nick Crane from Forbes. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Mark. So in the absence of Billy in the past couple months, do you feel that your kind of role with the team and what you've been asked to do has increased even before this official announcement?
Not in particular. I mean, it's been pretty quiet, if I'm being perfectly honest. Our guys, our players, usually in the off season, the focus is on our players, and they just went almost 12 straight months, if you count the quarantine period before the bubble. And so, they've kind of been in their own worlds and recharging and rejuvenating, because I think they knew that there was a possibility that they would be playing pretty quickly because of the circumstances. So it has been quiet, but everybody, the whole organization has continued to work and continue to do good work and continue to stay ready, but I wouldn't say that there was any increase.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, we're going to go to Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mark, as you prepare for this assignment, do you have any idea what your roster will look like with clearly the Thunder's entering a transitional period either now or very soon? How do you prepare for a season in which you can't be sure what your roster will look like?
I'll kick that to Sam in a sec, but all I'll say to that, Barry, is this is the modern NBA. I don't think anybody in the NBA knows what their roster is going to look like at a given point in time. And there's times where the noise is a little louder, but I really can't get concerned with that. The job's hard enough to start engaging in hypotheticals. So all I'm thinking about is being extremely present with the players that are on the team, and extremely present with the players that are in a Thunder uniform, whether they're in a Thunder uniform for years and years and years, or whether they're on a 10-day contract. That's really all I can control, and it's all I'm really focused on.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, we're going to go to Bill Haston with the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Bill.
Sam, in the time you've had two coaches, the Kings have had 8, the Nets 9, the Knicks 8, Phoenix 8, on and on and on. So it seems like you're, as an organization, you kind of addressed it when you said, the short term, this is not a short term play, but you hire or you promote Mark at 35. So I presume, you're envisioning him coaching the Thunder for a good long run. You expect him to be coaching at 40 or whatever, but you seem to be more, as an organization, a lot closer to the Steelers and the Mavericks and the Spurs than to these teams that change coaches every 15 minutes.
Well, I can't speak for the other organizations because every single team is different, has different circumstances. I think that a lot of that comes from, well, one, we've had good coaches. I think that's the first thing. Two, we've had good players, and those guys, the players obviously make a huge difference in all of our existence. I don't think any of us would shy away from that. But I also think the leadership that Clay Bennett, represents, and the way he empowers people and creates a family atmosphere. We see people as part of solutions, and we tend to try to stick with people and let them do their best work. I do think that's part of the environment that's been created here, and a lot of that goes back to the group of people that started in 2008 together. It was a much smaller organization. A lot of us were a lot younger, but there was some significant groundwork laid at that time, and we went through some significant adversity, starting 3 and 29. We linked arms together. We rode that out. We understand that a big part of our success was sticking with things and remaining optimistic about our ability to problem solve and learn and adapt. And I think we've tried to do that over time. Coaching in the NBA is an extraordinarily hard job. And I have so much respect for the guys that I've worked with, Scott and Billy, that have been here in Oklahoma City, PJ as well. But I think that I've learned so much from them. And I think I'm going to learn a ton from Mark, quite frankly, and already have over my time observing and working with him since he's been within the organization. I think that's what it's about more than anything. Putting people in positions to be successful. But I think everybody needs support when times get tough, and we're always going to support, the head coach here. That's something we've tried to do, and I expect Mark to be here for a really long time.
All right, Sam, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Next up, we're going to go to Brady Trantham with the Franchise. Go ahead, Brady.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Brady.
Awesome. Congratulations, first of all. And you mentioned staffing earlier. I was just curious, do you have a coaching staff in place? If so, can you tell us who they are? Or more specifically, who's going to be retained from the previous year's staff?
Yeah, so to answer your question, I wouldn't say anything's in place. Sam just offered the job recently, so nothing really is in place. We are in those conversations right now. I'm not going to get into anything specific about the existing staff or any external people, but all I'll say is that I have a ton of confidence and respect and admiration for the coaching staff that we have here and the people we have here. And, I fully anticipate that the first place we look for our next coaching staff is internal, and those conversations will be happening over the next few days, and we're on it. But I don't have anything specific to report right now. I need to reach out to those guys later on today.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Coach. Next up, we're going to go with Andrew Schlecht with the Down to Dunk podcast and The Athletic.
Hey, Mark, how would you describe your offensive philosophy?
Andrew, I think the two things that we've learned in the NBA, and it's kind of cliche, but there's a reason, is you have to play with great pace and you have to play with great spacing. That's the way the league is right now. And that's the most efficient way to play. It's analytically, it's the most efficient way to play, and it creates the most space and creates the most opportunity for not only your best players, but for all of your players. And so, I would say that offensively, a lot of times you're led by your personnel and the strengths of your players, and you're really just trying to find ways to put those guys in the best positions to be successful. But I would say as a foundation, the way I see the game offensively is you got to play with great pace, not only up the floor, but with your cutting and timing in the half court. You got to keep the floor spaced and let the ball breathe. And you've got to put those guys in positions to play to their strengths. And I think that's a pretty strong foundation to be an efficient basketball team on the offensive end of the floor.
Great. Thank you.
Next, we're going to go with Daniel Bell. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. Sam just mentioned how hard it was to coach in the NBA. So how challenging do you think it'll be taking over a team a little over a month before the season starts? And how do you think that already being on the team helps?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that every single coaching job is tough and difficult, especially in a league like the NBA that is this competitive. So I don't think any circumstance you look at with any coach in the NBA, it's a hard job for that reason. It's challenging. I would say that the reason I feel confident, everyone's talking about the quick turnaround time. I just interviewed with Sam and his group for a long period of time, and not once did they talk about the quick turnaround time. The whole conversation was centered around vision for the organization, how the people will be empowered in this organization, and how will the coaching staff allow themselves to be empowered by the great people in this organization. Those are the types of conversations, and when you're in a place where that's the dialogue, it gives you a lot of confidence to be able to handle tough situations, which are inevitable in the NBA. The quick turnaround or shortened season or whatever is just another, it's the world we live in right now, which is why I'm so grateful to be in an organization with such a strong foundation like the Thunder.
Next up, we're going to go with a question from Nick Gallo. Go ahead, Sparky.
Hey, Sam, just over the variety of experiences you've seen Mark in the Thunder organization, just curious maybe what stands out to you about his, ability connecting with players. He had mentioned, the unprecedented level of access that Billy Donovan granted the Blue staff, but, you've seen him work with rosters that turn over very frequently in the G League, and then also as an assistant with the Thunder as well.
Well, I mean, I've watched that for a while. Obviously, I just think the G League is a massive incubator for learning, and I think that you can't deny that. From rules that are experimented with there, to different tactics that get experimented with there, defenses you see that you may never have seen before, and the players are constantly changing. It could be that a few days in advance of a big game, there's an assignment and a player's coming down, and there's some specific things that we're looking for that player to work on, and Mark has to adapt, or the coach has to adapt to, integrating that into an already kind of fully formed team setting. That is not easy to do. I think it takes great relationships to be able to do that. Through our draft processes, he's been, leads the draft workouts, and is, works pretty closely with the scouting group to design those workouts in a way that we can see things that we're looking to try to uncover during the workouts. I also think it's your first kind of introduction to a young generation of players when they're here, whoever's running those draft workouts. And then in general, just our player development systems and processes are very vertical with the Blue team and the Thunder team. And Mark's been integral and extraordinarily collaborative with the other different disciplines that play a role in a holistic and integrated development program. So I've seen it on a lot of levels, but I think it comes down to like relatability, being inclusive, and as I said earlier, like empowering others to help him learn, and how he applies that on the floor to ultimately help the players, because that's what it's all about. And he's constantly looking for ways, both inside of sport and outside of sport, to help players get better. And I think that's one of the reasons why the players that he's worked with, be it an NBA player or a G League player, have enjoyed those relationships, but also as a result of that, allow him to have challenging conversations with them. And I just think that's a very, very transferable skill set, and it's not something that you necessarily can learn. I think it's a natural gift that he's possessed since I've seen him work on the floor with players at Florida when he was 26 or 27 years old.
Thank you, Sam. Got time for a couple more. We're going to go back to Joe Musato with the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Mark, congratulations.
Hey, Joe.
I just wanted to, first off, have you considered sort of the significance of becoming the first G League coach and NBA coach in the same organization now? And you mentioned the access that Billy gave you even when you were with the Blue. Like, how meaningful was that to sort of make this an easy transition for you?
I mean, that's why I mentioned it, Joe. You know, the access was incredible, not only for me, but for the assistant coaches. It was kind of an open door policy. But have I thought of the significance? I mean, certainly a lot's going through my mind. But the thing that is really, really cool is, you know, when Sam announced this to the staff this morning, the enthusiasm of all the people that I get to work with, you know, that's the significance of it is, you know, I get to, you know, if you're the first anything, I mean, I'm not sure that really matters as much, but the relationships I have in this building and with these people and how I think a lot of people here feel like they're a part of this, and that's how it should feel in a really, really tight-knit organization. And I'm so proud and happy to be able to share that with everybody, you know, certainly everyone in this organization, but everybody I mentioned at the beginning. You know, that's the coolest thing about this is that I get to share this out with a lot of people that have had a tremendous impact on my life and my career.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to do two more. First up to Curtis Fitzpatrick with the Sports Animal. Go ahead, Curtis.
Hey, congrats, Mark.
Thank you, Curtis.
Just a quick question. You mentioned talking to some players. Was one of those conversations with Chris Paul?
Yeah, I talked to Chris this morning. I shot most of the players a text. I didn't know who was awake, and Chris is on the West Coast. And he called me back, and we had a short conversation. You know, Sam and I have a busy day, but not as busy as Chris Paul. He's got a heck of a schedule. He's got a heck of a schedule that he keeps up. He's incredible. But yeah, we spoke this morning, and he was so congratulatory, and I'm so grateful to Chris, certainly, but to all the players this year. Is my first year with the Thunder in a full year capacity, and it was my first year in a full year in the NBA, and those guys just gave me so much confidence. They wrapped their arms around me, and the conversations I've had so far today, I've felt that from them, and I want to give that back to them, you know, through our coaching staff and our organization. So excited to get back to work with not only Chris, but with everybody.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you. And last question, we're going to go to Jenny Carlson. Go ahead, Jenny.
So Mark, being a self-proclaimed Bruce Springsteen fan, I have to know from you, is there a song for the day that is going through your head? And Sam, was there any, I mean, I don't know how you feel about The Boss. So is there any hesitation with Mark's love of Bruce Springsteen?
I'm going to let Mark go first on this.
No, I'm going to let Sam go first, Jenny.
Well, I have a little fun with his obsession with The Boss, primarily because this is coming from someone whose real repertoire is probably along the lines of like Tunnel of Love and Pink Cadillac. And I probably like the video for Glory Days more than anything. That's probably the highlight. So when you only know those songs, that's when you get a real ire from a diehard person like Mark on The Boss. But I would say it's probably more a point of fun. I tend to think that most of the songs are about the mills closing and the factories running. But in all seriousness, I have a lot of, Mark probably doesn't know this, I've never said it, but I actually really do like Bruce Springsteen. I just act like I don't. But anyone that stays as relevant in his craft, as long as Bruce Springsteen has, and the vulnerability that the guy shows about his trials and tribulations and how that's helped him, and really the loyalty that I see from the people that love him as much. The three people in my world, Leon Rose, Mark Daigneault, and Matt Tummelson, those three people will talk about Bruce Springsteen longer than anything else in the world I could imagine. So that would be it was not held against them, but it was probably used a few times to provoke some frustration.
And provoke frustration it did. I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of the person. I'm inspired by his work ethic and how true he is to himself. That's really what appeals to me about him, to be honest with you. But song of the day, I'll go with Land of Hope and Dreams, because the first line is grab your ticket in your suitcase, thunder's rolling down this track.
Nice. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As the other Bruce fan on the line, that was terrific. Appreciate everybody getting on here. And we hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.